Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. This amendment is designed to end the cover-up of the Trump tax returns. While this amendment seeks to achieve the same result that I've attempted on 5 prior occasions, it includes new findings from some of the notable developments of recent months that make very clear we are not only dealing with the self-described king of debt, but the king of sleaze and what continues to be someone who acts like wanting just to be king. By now, with an estimated 7.5 average major lies per day, we've learned to assume that when the president says something, the opposite is likely true, and that is true with reference to the tax bill. So when he proclaimed regarding the original Republican tax bill, quote, I don't benefit, there's very little benefit for people of wealth, he ignored the reality that 83% of this Republican tax bill went to the top 1% of wealthiest Americans, and that Trump and his family were greatly enriched. One estimate was that the Trumps would pocket more than $1 billion from that tax sham. Today's bill seeks to put in place a special tax break that was hidden until late in the legislative process, not approved initially in the House or the Senate, but coming out only in the conference committee, that is tailored to make real estate moguls like Trump a little bit richer. Never before in American history has a president stood to gain so much for himself and his family from legislation that he promoted. We, of course, cannot know whether the benefit for Trump will be bigly or just huge until we lift this cover-up of the Trump tax returns. As the smoke continues to build with one revelation after another, there's greater need than ever to see what Trump may be hiding in those returns, the working papers to explain them, and those for the 500 business entities which stretch from Manhattan to Azerbaijan. Trump's tax returns relate directly to what is before us today. There's no issue that this committee could consider that is more important to the integrity of our tax code and the faith that the American people have in our democracy. Trump has surrounded himself with convicted tax evaders, rich friends who've decided they're above the law, and that working people can afford to pick up the slack because they don't have fancy tax lawyers and accountants. In response to the conviction of his campaign manager for extensive tax evasion, Trump called him, quote, a brave man deserving of respect. And he even complained about the Justice Department pursuing this criminal tax evasion. The Trump Organization's chief financial officer has reportedly been granted immunity by federal prosecutors investigating potential financial crimes by the Trump Foundation. Even Richard Nixon invited the Joint Committee on Taxation to review his tax returns, explaining that, quote, people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. Well, I believe that corruption permeates this administration, and we need to know. While this committee has refused to do its job, while in the Congress, oversight has become overlook, as in overlooking administration misconduct, the president's tax returns have in fact been reviewed. In fact, amazingly, he told us that he'd gotten the good housekeeping seal of approval, quote, to assure Americans he has no business dealings with the Russians. And who provided the review? Well, of course, his personal law firm, which had just received the prestigious honor of being named Russia Law Firm of the Year. I'm only asking that this committee do for the American people what the Russia Law Firm of the Year did for Mr. Trump. Before this committee considers a dime of additional tax breaks, we must obtain and review these returns and go through a line-by-line review. I believe his tax returns can help tell us whether he's really putting America first, or Trump first, his family second, and Russia third. And I yield back.